Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left is David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube /WGLNA. If you guys aren't watching this on battleviewer.com, go over there right now and check it out. And finally, follow us on Twitter @WGLNA so you guys can stay up to date on what's happening in the community around you.
You can also answer our question of the day, which is, what was your favorite match of the season?
All right, so for me, it was when High Voltage played Refuse. And now, at that moment, High Voltage, I'm not sure was at the top, but I know Refuse was. But you did talk up High Voltage, so I was excited to see if the team that you said would potentially take first would take it. They actually lost in a tiebreaker, but has since shown that they are the better team this season. David, what about you?
That's a tricky one. That was a great match on its own, but it was also before High Voltage picked up to Killzor, so...
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'm not... I think it was. For me, it's either when Refuse played eLevate or when High Voltage played eLevate. Probably when High Voltage played eLevate. eLevate's probably not too happy with me liking that match overall. Not their best matches overall, but High Voltage played an amazing game when they played them, and so did Refuse. There's a lot of gambles, a lot of interesting stuff I'd never seen before.
Absolutely. Fantastic matches those were indeed. But right now, our first matchup of the night, it's eLevate versus Game Over. For the side of eLevate, we've got Zoid. For the side of Game Over, we've got Mega. Gentlemen, welcome to the face-off.
How's it going?
Good, Zoid, good. I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Now, this is the question we've been asking the teams now. We are closing out this Season 1 final week. So the question to you, Zoid, is going to be, what are your final thoughts on this season?
It's been a fantastic season. We've definitely finished a little bit lower than we would have liked to, but I think that's the case for every team that doesn't finish first. But we've had a blast. We've had a great time playing with our guys, and we're getting really excited to move into playoffs and see how far we can take it.
Awesome. Definitely excited to see you guys there again. Congratulations to making it to the playoff.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans, Zoid, as the season comes to a close?
I mean, I say this all the time, but I really think we have the best fans out there. The guys that support us in our streams, watching our broadcasts all the time. You guys are the reason we do this, so keep it up.
Awesome. A nice shout out there. Over, Mega, to you now, sir. Can ask the same question as asked to Zoid. As we're closing out the season, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, it was a tough season for us. It's our first season together, but we see the level of this season was pretty high, so we learned something. It was tough for us, but we just learned something. It's okay for us.
Yeah, well, again, congratulations to making it to the Gold League in the first place, guys. It was so fun to watch you, and definitely an honor to commentate on you guys' game.
Mega, is there anything you would like to say to your fans?
Yeah, we just want to sorry for our fans. We don't do so much in this first season, but we hope they stay with us and support us in the next tournaments and the next season. So just stay with us, guys.
So I'm sure you've got loyal fans indeed, Mega. Zoid, before we get into the match, is there anything you'd like to say to Mega before we get started?
Good luck, have fun.
Mega, your response.
Good luck, man.
All right, gentlemen. Best of luck to you guys. We'll see you soon. Coming out there. Now again, talking about, so Game Over is out there, not making the playoffs. eLevate, this is a big seeding opportunity for them. So obviously they don't even want a tiebreaker win. They want just a full-out clean win.
Yeah, and it can work out. I mean, they either have to play Refuse or High Voltage.
Who would you pick?
For me personally, I don't know. That's a very hard call. They play differently. Maybe perhaps a slight strategic advantage on Refuse, but they have incredible player talent. And a head-to-head between them and High Voltage is basically like one team has an edge on strategy and the other team has an edge on raw player talent.
Wow.
So it's very close. I wouldn't want to play either of them, honestly. But I know how it works for Refuse and High Voltage. They just don't want to play eLevate. I think that's probably their overall thing. But at the same time, Simp is turning it on really late in the season, and that's dangerous because a team that is just hitting their stride hasn't shown everybody all what they're capable of yet. So you're kind of coming out of the dark, and it's like, well, they got into the finals, but now we literally have no idea what to expect of them because they just kind of changed.
That's kind of terrifying indeed. While we're talking, let's pull up the rosters between both these teams. You guys know them. You guys love them. But yeah, just explain to me more of how often do we see teams really holding out some crazy strategies until we get to the playoffs, or are there still teams that go in and maintain the the kind of the meta play they're playing in the way that we've always seen?
I don't think anybody deliberately holds back all season long. I think that people just make huge mistakes at some point or another. They have internal problems from team building or a variety of different things. Like Noble seems to have kind of potentially figured out their problems. And to me, they have a lot to prove going into this finals. As a lot of the reason, I mean, they beat #RU when #RU was kind of struggling.
Okay.
And that's #RU beat a lot of the other teams that are in contention with them, like Simp.
That's true.
And eLevate. So if #RU had been playing poorly, I don't know, a lot of different things could happen. Overall, though, so to directly ask what answer what you were saying, I don't think it's so much that they deliberately do it. I think it just happens. And I can't remember a single bracket I played in where there wasn't some team that I had to face in playoffs where I felt was too low on the seeding for how good they were. Because a lot of those teams, they play risky, they try new things, they play not just to win, but to be good. And so other teams that are mostly after points kind of slip above them, and then you get the situation where you end up playing one of the harder teams.
Sure.
Especially in a final situation. One of the ones that comes closest to my memory is Hammer Time, I believe, an older team that is now folded kind of into Simp, Strynitz and Overlord Prime and those guys. They underperformed one season. We had to play them, and I was not happy about it because I was like, they should be like 3rd or 4th, and we have to play them, and they were ranked somewhere far lower than that.
Okay.
But it happens.
And just throws your kind of game off.
There's a reasonable chance that High Voltage will experience that struggle this time coming around.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, match number 1 is underway. eLevate versus Game Over starting on Lakeville. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for tanks.
eLevate on defense, Game Over on offense of Lakeville. eLevate with 2 IS-3s, a T-32, RU-251, 2 T-54 lightweights, and AMX-12T. Game Over, 5 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, and a T-37. It's what we've affectionately called in the past the IS-15.
Yep.
Or if you go higher. Well, when we originally coined that, you could only bring 5 Tier 8s maximum, so it's still kind of the IS-15, although there's a higher value that is now available too. One thing to immediately note, this isn't Himmelsdorf. So whatever sorcery Game Over has been pulling to get the proper seeding, or sorry, the proper matchmaking and map picking they wanted, is potentially gone. We'll see if they play it next match, but I will have some questionable words for Arclit if he managed to let Game Over still play Himmelsdorf.
We will see if the players listen to you after all. I mean, it's a great point. Again, every time we've been seeing Game Over on Himmelsdorf, they've pulled some absolute magic out there, obviously showing their domination for that map indeed. Now into Lakeville. Dave, do you remember the last time we saw them on Lakeville?
Game Over?
Yeah.
I feel like it happened once before.
Yeah,
and they mostly played Eastern with a lot of heavies, kind of like what they're doing now. But, I think that was pretty far back in the season, and honestly, when you cast every single one of these,
they all blur.
You know a lot of different things happened. It's just very hard to remember exactly when it happened.
Sure.
eLevate, though, we've seen them play Lakeville the vast majority of the times they're here.
All right, now kind of looking at the lineup, what Game Over is doing, they have an IS-3 in the center road. Now, this is usually where we see lighter tank go. Yeah, what is the benefit of bringing that Tier 8 tank?
Down the center road?
Down the center, yeah.
So the IS-3 still has a lot of alpha damage. It's somewhat... Actually, that shot was beautiful. Game Over doing what I think might have been a blind shot on Amerlee's T-32 back here in the corner, and he's still taking shots on it. Let's see if you can get another one here on the Tracer. I'll probably turn on the lasers and you'll see him aiming. Oh, nope. Looks like he gave up the target. Unfortunately, there we go. He's still firing over here. It just must be outside of the laser range. He hit Emerly all the way to the side, which is either just incredible preparation, or they spotted him, and he knows how to blind fire from a distance. That's not particularly difficult for players of this caliber.
Okay.
But either way, it's a smart move by Game Over. Emerly's going to be stuck. Right now is when he should be kind of up on this area we've seen before, doing damage to the IS-3s, but he has to already be there to get that damage in. Or this happens to him.
Wow.
If he tries to drive across that gap when they're already there, it's pretty much ripped. So his entire position is now starting to falter. eLevate's going to have to counter push to make up for that fact. They are coming around with 254 lightweights and Rouge 251.
Here we go. The fight already started though. Mega taking a huge bulk of the damage there in that IS-3. Emerly's still in the back, but here comes the cavalry. for eLevate, rushing in behind Game Over. Heist gonna be the first one we caught out in that T-54. Over 1,000 points damage. Arclight gonna pick up that kill, and Mega finishing off that T-32. Emerald going down here, and the fight continuing to go on. Mega's extremely low, but Drac Hero picking up Dark on Zim. Static responding with Mega. It is a back and forth battle between these two teams. Zone Delta taking Rigadante out and finding the slight lead. Static running through in that RU-251, but Drac Hero shutting him down immediately. And here comes the rest. It is now a 4-on-4. The HP is in favor of eLevate as Zone Delta taking one's Cataphract down. Drac Hero is getting surrounded, and it looks like after this IS-3 falls, it is just going to be cleanup duty for eLevate here. Gandorfo coming in that T-37. Looks like a little late to the party. He's going to get focused out by Swipple. And Azrael rushing into that tank. Looks like maybe, no, not quite the ram damage. The hill not on the side, but the bullets are, as Azrael picking that one up. And just BR game over in that IS-3 in the center road against 4 members of eLevate. eLevate should pick up this first victory.
Well, we have a moment to talk about why the IS-3 is not a bad tank for the 4-line, I guess. Getting back to our previous conversation.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on this a while back. It's somewhat magical side armor of the IS-3.
Always bouncing.
It's tapered inwards, so it's kind of a V-shaped hull, which is similar to the front of it. The front pike has its own angles, which some people say makes it worse on corners, but I'd actually have to break out something to draw on to explain why that is incorrect. But the V-shaped hull, I'm not sure we can get an angle of it. Yeah, nope, not from this perspective, maybe another time. Helps deflect rounds that come in from a higher angle, things along that. So if he angles at all, it actually creates a very hard side to penetrate. Sometimes it gets caught in the tracks, sometimes it goes right through. To summarize all that, it's just somewhat unpredictable, or troll armor as it's known, where it's just like, I should pen here sometimes, but sometimes I don't. But in this situation he's in right now against this rock, he's too flat, so he will likely get penetrated from the side by anything that is the heat round, and that exact corner on corner is totally in Arclight's favor, so should be a matter of time here. Just a couple seconds till Arclight finishes this off.
All right, here we go. A couple more shots there. There it is. Like you call it, David. Arclight picking up that kill, actually getting some friendly fire in return for the end there. Just a little congratulatory shot there in the back. And eLevate picking up their first victory of tonight's matches against Game Over. Now, if you were, if you were going to send a different tank, right? If you're going to send a T-54 or a lighter tank for that center road, is that going to change your entire push if you're Game Over? Or is it kind of interchangeable, the heavy tank or the light tank in that center?
It just kind of depends on what you're trying to do. I personally would go with the 54 because it gets to fire more often, but it also depends on the strategy. If you're just trying to hit people as they cross the field, an IS-3 is not bad because you're probably only going to get in one shot, maybe two, no matter what you bring. And you want to do as much damage as possible in that instance, but it also might miss. Let's go to statistics for a moment while we have a chance.
Let's do it.
I have a feeling we're going to do this a lot tonight.
It's a final night.
Arclight put the team on his shoulders. 11 shots, 9 hits, 8 penetrations. Azrael following closely behind, 1,700. Close-ish, I guess, 700. And Zone Delta, the rest of the crew, even the 12T getting a little bit of damage. Meanwhile, for Game Over, BR Game Over himself with nearly 2,000. Nobody else, as you saw in that match, really had that good of a situation to do a lot of damage. BR Game Over lasted for a very long time, hence his overall HP pool. But most of them pretty much got wrecked in that trap that eLevate set. And that is something, I mean, that good teams will do, especially if they know they have somewhat of a talent advantage or any sort of advantage, strategic, talent, latency. They'll play games like this where eLevate probably wouldn't want to do something like that against Team Refuse or High Voltage or Simp or any of the other people in the playoffs, really. But in this situation,
they have the kind of the freedom to do that.
It can still totally backfire on them. I'm not saying it's smart to do it this way. It's just something that people get a little bit more free doing because they feel like they have an advantage. In this instance, the ping and the fact that there was mostly IS-3s is a big help.
Let's see if this keeps going in eLevate's favor. If it does backfire, ladies and gentlemen, the second battle is ready. Let's get right into it. Same sides as last time and check out what we've got for our tank.
eLevate with 4 IS-3s, a T-32, an AMX 1390, and a T-37. Game Over with 5 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, and a T-37. So, to kind of complete what I was saying, the big thing here, and part of why eLevate is willing to play that way, is because of the amount of IS-3s the Game Over is bringing. Because they know they can flank them, they know they can get that position in, and that they'll be able to DPM them with the 54 lightweights and stuff like that they had. Especially the RU-251 does quite a bit in a short amount of time.
Okay.
So it comes down to a stacked number of advantages. latency, perhaps player skill, although, like we've talked about before, it's hard to know exactly just how good Game Over is due to some of the other struggles they have to deal with. And meanwhile, eLevate had every advantage going into their favor there. Decided to play it a little bit riskier, a little bit more freestyle, and I think that's something that if they kept expanding on, could be a nice change-up for them going into the playoffs that would throw off a lot of other teams.
All right, now already Gandorf on that T-37 getting caught out and taken down by MRLE. eLevate pushing in through the city, having good control, but it looked like right at the beginning, Game Over either expected them to push aggressively, they took their tanks and started going to the north, or if this was just their plan from the beginning. They have all been spotted out. David, if these IS-3s can get down to that southwestern cap, the #1 cap in the bottom right corner for you guys who are watching, and set up, is that going to be a lot hard to dig those heavy tanks out from eLevate, or is it still going to be pretty easy to keep beating those reset points?
You know, the southwest area is very weird. It's not really favorable to either person. There are very small areas where if your tanks are stationary, it gives one side an advantage over the other. So maybe fly over to that corner real quick and we'll see if we can break it down a little bit more easily. So kind of on this corner right here, this is actually more in the favor of the team coming down the valley. You have some initial shots on them, but once they get here, they have rocks and all sorts of things to poke around. And if you're on defense, you don't really have that. So
sure,
it's a very, very detailed positional thing to decide who necessarily has the advantage if that happens. But right now, it's certainly Game Over's advantages. They are the ones that are almost already on the western cap. eLevate rotating a little bit too slowly, and I think Game Over made a very smart play here once they saw the number of IS-3s from eLevate, predicting that eLevate would probably try and fight them in the city and that they could go west. It was risky because once they committed here, if eLevate headed them off, they had nowhere to go.
Okay.
But it worked out for them so far. But no real middle presence makes eLevate not have to pay for coming all the way over here a little bit late. And it looks like that's going to somewhat squander the advantage that Game Over had. All 7 of them in the 1-2. Swipple's coming around from behind. It's just going to come down to that small positional play that we were talking about, whether or not eLevate can pull themselves out of the situation. But Game Over has to cap. And if you're on cap over here, it's just not a good place to be.
Sure.
Zone Delta's at risk. He can be fired at from multiple people. Arclit and MRLE, a little bit safer. And then there's just too many IS-3s. Honestly, I'm not really in favor of either of the positions that we have going on here at all.
For either team.
Except Swipple. So if Swipple and Zim come around behind, they can really end this match.
Okay, well, looks like that's what they're doing. As Dark God Zim is almost about to meet up there with Swipple in the center. Once they flank around, it's just going to be Heist really who can stop him. But the cap pressure being applied even further for Game Over, down to 20 seconds now. Looks like they got 3 members on. It's going to be up to eLevate to find the resets when they can. Zone Delta taking another chunk of damage. It's going to be up to MRLE to come around the corner. Finds the shot, actually doesn't connect, but they do back up. Reset the cap just slightly, going down to, now it's up to 86 seconds. Back to 42. The reset's going in for eLevate. Another shot from MRLE in that T-32, just buying all the time that they need. And down in the valley, here's Heish and Swipple about to duel it out. Dark God's in though, coming in behind. Some shots going out between both of the teams here. MRLE again back on cap, but Game Over decided to get off the western cap. Let's see where this kind of keeps developing. A huge chunk of damage. They're going into MRLE and Mega, taking down that T-32 and that IS-3. Game Over has the health advantage, and Dark God Zim taking even more punishment from Heish in the center there. Another shot going through. The longer that eLevate just keeps taking damage here, Game Over could eventually take this.
Definitely. So I think the best way to describe what I was trying to say earlier is that once Game Over is allowed to get into the positions they're in, they have somewhat of an advantage over anybody trying to defend. However, if you can head them off and be at the end of the 1-2 line as eLevate before Game Over gets there, then the advantage is definitely yours. You fire on them the whole way in, they can't really go anywhere. So eLevate took a long time to rotate I'm not really sure why. It seemed like a pretty obvious play to make. Something must have gone wrong, either with communication or overall timing. We have only 7 seconds left on the cap.
That's right, something's going wrong. They cannot find the reset and find it now. Down to 3 more seconds. They're pushing up on those IS-3s. Find the reset, but Game Over picks up Zone Delta. Another tank falling through the side of eLevate. And now these 3 tanks, the 3 IS-3s for eLevate, trying to find any sort of damage they can, but Mega picking up Arclit sacrificing his life to find that reset. The timer back to 18 seconds. Still over in the valley. Dark God Zim fighting against Heish. More damage going across. Heish picking up Swipple. The 1390 going down, and Mega finding Static. Another tank. Just 2 remain for eLevate here, and Game Over Looks like they're going to pick up this victory unless somehow Dark God Zim and Azrael can stall it out for longer. But with Azrael going down, that is not going to be possible. It is just Dark God Zim alive. Heist going around picking that one up. Game over with a victory, tying it up 1-1. And our first matchup of the night. Man, eLevate. Like you're saying, maybe just responding too lately to that push that was happening, but
way late, way late. This is why I can't give certainty to things, because there were a couple times in that fight I would have been like, oh, eLevate has it. Maybe they don't. Why is the T-37 not already with a 1390? Why aren't they trying to push in this 54? I don't know. They're just letting Game Over come back and wasting the HP on their heavies. Just a lot of problems with what eLevate was doing there.
Yeah.
Late rotation, not even the biggest one. I mean, that's a problem.
Okay.
They could have stopped everything else, but it also opens up some of its own problems, and it gets into complexity. Let's go to statistics for a moment.
Let's do it.
Warge Cataphract. 6 hits, or well, 6 penetrations out of his 9 hits. A tricky kind of corner poking is basically what those numbers say most of the time. For 24-19, Heish right behind him. And a 54 lightweight, repelling a 1390 and a T-37 by himself.
Yeah.
But he should have gotten them both. Or when they should have taken him down very quickly. 20-43, everybody else, I mean, it's only BR Game Over that didn't get a real angle into the fight. He got wrecked pretty early. Gandorfo, obviously, T-37.
Right.
Can't expect much on this map from T-37 unless he just gets into a glorious position. Azrael hitting the best shots. Zone Delta, like we said, you have to have more than one IS-3 in his general position if you're going to have one at all. It's weird. It's weird because if you only have one guy there, then anytime he pokes, he's going to get shot by almost everybody on Game Over because they can sit back in a way where they can look very easily both ways. And in order to hit them, you have to come all the way around.
Expose your entire tank.
It's a risky place. So you need to put more than one IS-3 there probably, but it's also a crowded area. It's just a situation you don't want to get into, and a little bit of artillery can solve all of it.
Go getting messy indeed in that last matchup. Now all tied up 1-1. We're switching sides. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
eLevate now on offense with a 5100, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T. Game Over on defense with a 5100, 4 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, and a T-37. A lot of 5100s for Lakeville. Makes me uncomfortable. It's not bad, not inherently bad. It's just not the best tank for this map because while its damage is fantastic and it's a huge boon to any strategy you can fit it into, this is just so open. And there's so many little weird corner battles around terrain where the top corner of a 5100 won't be covered. It's an easy penetration for anything at that point. Even a T-37 can work a 5100 on this map, so it really depends on what you do with it. As this is always the case with the 5100. You have to get it in the right spot.
Wow.
It has to be used correctly. Somebody just gets shot.
Yeah, Enrique Dante gets a nice fire from across. Like another shot, 389, getting dropped to below half health already.
Okay, here we go.
Nice 3.
Yep, so that is Dark God Zim doing an effective early scout from this bush you see right here with he's got rations, binoculars, optics, and gas to make sure he gets there. That's how it's done. There's no real way of crossing that bottom line without being lit by a 12C with this much gear on it, especially as an IS-3.
Wow, Gandorfo going down already in the T-37. He was spotted as well. And the beauty of the focus fire from eLevate, taking that tank down very early, falling for Game Over. 6 tanks remain, already down to 6,300. We've got almost 2 tanks on Game Over's side, already about half or below half health. eLevate doing a great job finding those early pickups and finding those early shots, like they're saying. David, why do we not see more teams spot like eLevate just did there? It seemed extremely effective.
Handful of teams do it, just don't do it well enough. It's also a huge risk. Because say you have the strategy we saw #RU run against Refuse, you just fed your 12T to the enemy team, and all you found out about it was that there was a bunch of IS-3s waiting for him to fire. And in the meantime, if they do the same thing that #RU did, pushing a 4-line scout, well then you've surrendered your scout, they have a scout on you, and if you're crossing like eLevate does, you can get shot. So then you have to go into the city to fight where all those IS-3s are.
Wow. So it can backfire pretty quickly.
It can, and it's a very nice strategy by #RU that is really only open to hard counters. So if you have everybody teed up and ready to fire on the 4 line, and you counter scout the 4 line, then you can kill somebody similar to like what we saw Blue Boys, happen to Blue Boys, I believe. One of the times High Voltage played, he went 4 line and got lit up very quickly.
Instantly went down.
This map, watching this map be played all season has been interesting for me because it is taking a very long time to develop a type of meta that I would have expected to happen sooner. Back when it was played in 742, which was very rarely, a lot of this stuff was very four-road centric, and I still think that's one of the most important parts. It's just open to a whole lot of hard counters that people have developed over time, and it's just weird that everybody's avoiding it, yet nobody is running a hard counter for it. I feel like you could pretty much just take one of the old cookie-cutter Lakeville strategies and do great with it, at least for one game or maybe an entire match. But after that, then, you know, if you keep running it, you're getting some serious trouble because there's definitely breaks.
Someone should punish you for it.
Counters just lying in wait out there on YouTube if you want to look for it.
Oh, good place to find your counters, guys. YouTube.com. Now, looking at /WGLNA.
I don't think we ever actually played Lakeville.
Where now where Azrael is, right, doing the spotting, what's the trigger for him to then join the rest of the team to come in and flank the remaining members of Game Over? Or is he just going to sit there really until he doesn't have to anymore? Are you?
Well, so he is not really going to go anywhere. Let's hop over to him and I'll explain. He is now taken over where Dark God Zim was. He's relatively in bush cover. Can't really be spotted from anything directly down the center of our line. Down here, if you can see my cursor. Nothing can really hit him. He's got that nice rock. He's mostly worried about the people who are on the corner over by Heish and Mega Monero, but unless they spot him, he just has free shots on him. So once eLevate gets into the position where they'll be proxy spotting those guys, or they'll be showing up, Azrael will just start to fire with impunity, and Henrique Dante goes down in the meantime.
Arclet picking that one up in the IS-3. Another tank going down for Game Over. Heish and Mega very low. As here comes Zone Delta starting to apply some cap pressure. Schwipple, they'll take some shots from across the way here. Mega, a nice chunk into Zone Delta, get a quick little reset. Another shot into Arclet. And if this keeps going, I mean, Game Over might be able to find the health they need to claw the way back from this, but eLevate just might be a little too far ahead. Another shot going there. Mega's got to be extremely careful. 2 tank turrets, actually 3 now. Arc turret Torm, Arclet picking up Mega. Now the cap down to 22 seconds. A shot going on to Arclet. Nothing connecting. A nice little bounce there. Heish has another one. Zone Delta firing right to the ground there. A good chunk of damage going to Orange, and here comes a flank. Here's Azrael deciding to move finally after we just get off that camera. 285 points going in there. Zone Delta picking up Heish. 5 seconds now remain on the clock, and this one should be go over to eLevate if Game Over cannot find the reset, which it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do. Now down to 0. eLevate picking up the victory, making it now 2-1 against Game Over here on our first matchup of the night. Congratulations to that team. And that one just seemed, David, like it was almost over from the start.
Pretty much was. I mean, obviously that initial scout that Dark God Zim did led to, let's go to stats.
Let's go to
This is one we haven't shown before.
Spotting damage.
Yep. So how much damage was done by the assistance of Dark God Zim?
Wow.
Oh, you know, 2808.
Wow.
Which if you add that in with the rest of his, basically leads off his team. I mean, he did his job very well. Zone Delta, rest of the team doing exactly what you'd expect. I mean, just getting the shots in where they had them. But so aside from that initial scout, and we have a timeout from Game Over. It threw me off there for a second. Timed Out was another team that
is not playing anymore.
Nope. Anyways, so what it comes down to is that strategy that eLevate ran was very, very, very nice. Not just for the initial spots, but for the control and kind of the pacing of how it works. It's getting vision on certain areas and gaining map control, then handing off that map control to a bigger tank. So if you looked at where it was, the only way to really effectively stop eLevate, provided they don't make a mistake, is one of 2, maybe 3 things. If you have an artillery, you can stop the resets. That's big.
Sure.
But then you have to make sure you get at where Azrael was in that 54 lightweight to make sure your artillery doesn't go down.
Okay.
Or if eLevate makes mistakes in the 1 line or the 4 line, you can pick up those tanks. Or if you somehow manage to get a lot of tanks across that road without getting fired or without getting lit up completely, then you can take an overwhelming amount of force and overmatch the 1-2 line. But you're going to pay so much for doing that due to the positions and how they work.
Okay.
So if you're spread at all the way Game Over was, you don't have an artillery,
right,
and eLevate runs that strategy to you, there's borderline no hope from the very beginning.
Really?
Yes.
It's just that spelled out. So
it's a well put together strategy, and it's hard to explain or to draw these kinds of things. I mean, when we make strategies like this, we would draw on a map, and it would have phases to it. And then even then, we would have to sit there and all talk to each other. Be like, okay, so when this happens, you do this, or you do this. And then we try to move into the next phase. And that phase, each position you have has like 3 different colored arrows. And it's like, okay, so if this happens, you go the red direction. If you go, it gets crazy complex.
Yeah.
And the way eLevate just did that, it slips by a lot of people because it just looks like they just kind of put tanks in certain places. But every little thing they did there had a reason, was well thought out, was being cross-supported by somebody else, creating crossfires and zone control and vision. It's excellent. It's just a very well put together methodical strategy.
Now with those strategies, with the different phases, is each one of those different options, can they be manipulated within a battle if you have to react a different way? Let's say the scout goes wrong, or the scouting goes wrong, you don't get the damage.
You lost Azrael, so then you lose one of the vectors of control that you have. How do you deal with that, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff is pre-planned. Ideally, this is a leftover style of doing things from the old format, 742. You had to make everything like this.
Okay.
Once it got to the later meta, where everybody knew kind of the traps that you could set for people, that you had to do stuff like this to even get control. Nowadays, you have teams like High Voltage, which will do things and make you respond to them, and that's a different level of excellent planning control.
Sure.
But we'll get into that
when we see them play. That's right. But right now, the timeout is over. The timed out is now playing. Game over versus eLevate. eLevate up 2-1. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
eLevate on offense again with a 5100, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T. Game over with a 5100, 4 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, and a T-37.
So now if eLevate were to run the same strategy again, looking at Game Over's lineup, are they hopeless again? Or borderline, I should say?
Well, yes. If eLevate did the exact same thing, yes, unless Game Over just went into town and tried to brawl with them and take advantage of the fact that they have IS-3s versus 54 lightweights. But that's a risky call, and I'm still not 100% for it, because if you can separate those battles, 54 lightweight can go head-to-head with an IS-3, no problem. It's more of a combined battle situation if you have 3 54s versus 3 IS-3s, or better yet, 4-on-4. The first time you poke a corner, basically you can poke a corner, drop a 54 with all 4 of those IS-3s, reload and do it 1, 2, 3.
Oh, here we go, though. Already Henrique Dante making his way across. It's like getting tracked. 754 points of damage as he tries to move through the brush, but he is not out of the clear. 521, one more shot, he'll go down. Arklet picking that one up, and eLevate running the same strategy as the last time in the city. Gandorfo, that T-37 taking a good chunk of damage, trying to take care of that 12T, trying to get that spotting out of there so that hopefully Game Over can make a safe passage across the lake. But so much damage has already been done, and IS-3 down for the defending team. Gandorfo now, any moment, he should get caught out here. Swipple, static, Azrael running on the way through. The first shot connects, and Gandorfo will go down, continuing the press. Here comes Static on the lead with eLevate.
Pump the
There you go, as you say it. eLevate deciding not to find any more tanks, so they didn't need to. Slow it down.
They could still just push through. They don't need to. They could run the exact same thing as last time, and it would work even better, because they know beyond a certain shadow of a doubt that there's only one IS-3 that crossed. So talking for a second about exactly what eLevate knows based on that spotting. They know that obviously the T-37's dead. They know that they got an IS-3, and they know that one of the 54s was in town. Give a certain deviation for the 5100 that could be west, and that leaves 2 IS-3s that you know for certain are in the southeast. So everything they do here is basically just a quick calculation. So let's say worst case, the 54, 2 IS-3s, and the 5100 is there, which is the worst case, and it's still being spotted by Dark God Zim to make sure Mega doesn't come back.
Okay.
Looks like he may have slipped back. So, okay, absolute worst case, but it's extremely unlikely. It's 5-on-7, and eLevate knows they can win it, right? But more likely than not, it's 3 IS-3s. Sorry, 2 IS-3s, a 54 and a 5100. So all they have to do is make sure they bring enough to overmatch that, take into account where those tanks could be positionally, and how much damage they'll take. So say you lose 50% off of 2 of your IS-3s taking it. Do you think you can still take out the rest of those guys, 2 IS-3s? You run some quick math, you look at who you brought. As long as the AMX 5100 is loaded, it's a solid call. Easy.
Okay, just do it.
Yeah, because their 50 can reliably drop 1 tank. 2 IS-3s can reliably drop 1 tank as it pushes. And then you have just many tanks left over to fill that gap. As long as your 5100 hits his shots, it's a guaranteed win. But at the same time, as I said in the very beginning, it's still not the best option they have. They can do exactly what they did last time with no real reason not to. They already know they have a tank down. They know it's only Mega Monero that crossed.
Yeah. So they're just going to find this overmatch where they take it.
Just do it again. This time, they don't even have to bother bringing Arclet's IS-3 over there, probably because it's just going to take too long, and they know they don't have to, so let's take a shortcut. So they're going to leave him over here by static. So when anybody tries to cross over, they're going to get lit up by 2 people. Arclet's going to keep moving to these buildings. It's going to be nice and snug. The only guy who can get him is Mega Monero at all. And if they're going to spend the time to go over and try and pick up Arclet, Zone Delta, static at all, they're going to get capped out. All 3 of those 54s will just quickly pick up Mega. They'll get capped out. MR Lee chilling over here in the 4 line, very far back, so he can't get spotted or easily blind fired. He's going to wait till he sees some IS-3s or whatever, Zone Delta and the rest of these guys light over here in the K line. Then he's just going to light them up. And if they cross, they're dead. So right now, eLevate could have closed this minutes ago by just playing a little bit riskier, but they're maintaining discipline. They're doing everything logically. Huh. Yeah, move Arclet up for the proxy spot. Why not? This just gets more perfect by the second.
Why not?
This is it's just very airtight play. That's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, eLevate showing that they just right now are the more skilled team, showing the discipline, showing the precision with each move being calculated and planned out. As Mega Monero getting spot. 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. eLevate does have to cap it. Like you said, they're in no rush. They're just methodically going to go through, find the overmatch, and we have a brawl going on. Mega, one more shot. He'll go down over on the side as picking that one up. And now another fight going through. Orange Cataphract getting extremely low, and that IS-3 Zone Delta gonna pick that one up. Cap pressure being applied, but I don't even know if eLevate's gonna need it. Squibble taking down Drac Hero. BR game over now, being surrounded by 3 members of eLevate. Height coming a little late to the party. A couple more shots there, and that IS-3 will be going down. Bouncy Troll side armor or not. 3 tanks going right to the side. They're bound to hit him until he goes down eventually. 30 seconds on the cap. Height now being chased by Static. Arclet picking up BR game over. That should do it. eLevate just going to clean this match up. Another victory that seemed just to be over before it started. Going out for the side of eLevate.
That angle from the IS-3 there at the end was exactly what I was talking about. If you shot him below the track line, very unlikely to penetrate.
Really?
But there's still a small strip of flat armor there on the side above the tracks that you should be shooting at in that situation. That is sometimes not as good at a distance or whatever because of shot drifting up and down in the tracks or ricochets.
Yeah.
But from there, Arclet did exactly what you needed to. And the only person not happy with what just happened is MR Lee. The only person on eLevate, at least, is MR Lee. Because he just had to sit in the middle and watch all of it unfold.
Everyone's having fun. Everyone's having fun. Right there, I like the end. It looks like they were trying to give Static to find that final kill on Heish. But a fantastic play again. One thing I want to point out too, right in the beginning, the IS-3 coming out from game over. I'm not sure who was the first one to go down. I can't recall, but he was doing his best to hug the very far edge of the map. He was going through the brushers, and still then he was spotted. Why was he still spotted?
It's just not enough camouflage, and he's not far enough away. The AMX-12T with that combination of things, see right through it when you're an IS-3. There are other tanks that can slip through, but not an IS-3.
Okay, is there a way that Game Over could have maybe sent out, maybe Heish and that T-37 before, just to see that they were doing that spotting move and then decided to take the tanks? Would that have been something viable to do?
Yeah. The other issues with that are just the fact that you need to cross as quickly as possible or you get locked out from the 4 line.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a tricky thing. We can go to statistics very quickly before we get to the match started.
Let's do it.
Not that there's anything particularly great to point out. Oh, I guess an even 1,500 for Dark God spotting. He's gonna be loving this today. Like, oh, my contributions are finally noticed.
At the end, better late than never.
So really, it comes down to Static shooting great. 13 shots, 12 hits, 11 penetrates for nearly 3,000. Everybody else obviously having a field day as well. Game Over, just strategically outclassed in that situation. Not much they could do. And, I could look through these numbers and talk about them, but to me, these numbers mean nothing because whether they say they missed 7 shots, 8 shots, 9 shots, whatever, who's going to hit shots when you don't really have good shots to take? I mean, they just got controlled, completely dominated. They didn't have any way of getting back in that fight.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you play a team that plays the way eLevate does. When eLevate's playing well, and some people may look at this,
look what map we're on. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready for our next battle. It's eLevate versus Game Over going into Himmelsdorf. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
Is eLevate just trying to get some tough
Game
practice
on this
or something?
Game
Like
win this.
the Game Over could win this.
They're gonna.
Himmelsdorf, for some reason or another, eLevate 25100s 4IS3s and AMX-12T. Game over 25100s 4IS3s and T-37.
Oh, man.
You know, this is extra confusing to me because I had heard a rumor that eLevate had decided not to practice 2 maps because they knew they could get reliably 2 bans.
Okay.
And that those 2 maps were Ghost Town and Himmelsdorf, if I remember right.
Wow.
But I've seen him play Himmelsdorf before, and you know, they struggled on it, and I think that we didn't see him play it since. Why they wouldn't ban it against Game Over? Either they just want to do something here, they have a strategy they want to test, and Game Over is pretty good at fighting their way out of it. They want to see if it can help, but at the same time, though, that would be a fatal error that many teams have made already. They have a little bit too much hubris, thinking that Game Over's low in the standings and they can just take them down and, oh, well, let's see what they got on Himmelsdorf, and then Game Over beats them on Himmelsdorf badly. It's like, maybe we shouldn't have done that. We need these points.
The last time we saw, Game Over on Himmelsdorf, they picked up 3 victories. I think if it was a hashtag you or a refuser, a pretty high up team. So if they can do that again, if they can pick up 3 victories against eLevate, making it 4-3, or even tying it up 4-4, we could go into a tiebreaker. But that does, of course, all rest on the fact that eLevate is absolutely not prepared for what they're doing. And a team like this, I'm sure they've got something up their sleeve. We just saw how methodical they were on Lakeville. So let's see if they can bring that same level of strategy and play onto Himmelsdorf against Game Over. Now Static poking out here in that IS-3. Enrique, Dante, Track Hero, and Gandorfo all kind of bunched up here in the northern corner. Game Over.
This is interesting, to say the least. Those 5100s about to roll off hill. Kind of a classic style of play coming out from eLevate in a lot of ways here. Static is either slow at rotation or he's still trying to make up his mind exactly where to go, because he should be with the rest of the IS-3s right now, or in a position to hold the D-line and make sure they don't get caught from behind. A nice break coming out here, something we were talking about last time, and eLevate starts lighting up BR Game Over.
Here we go, BR Game Over getting dropped to below half health. Go Delta be the one just taking a little bit of damage. Arclit popping out, but Height being the focus there. Beautiful focus flare for takes, coming out on top of the hill. Amorly going, taking that one down. Swipple picking up Mega Monero, and now the rest of eLevate going to try to clean up. Game Over here. Gandorfo not going to make it far. BR Game Over and Orange Cataphract isolated in those IS-3s. Gandorfo and BR Game Over falling back to back here. Just 3 takes remain for Game Over, and eLevate looks like they definitely have a plan to take down this team on the map that they are so well known for. Just Drag Hero and Enrique Dante by the parking garage, and the rest of eLevate should be able to close this one in time. They're just giving up on the cap and going just for the open match that they clearly have here. Any moment now, here comes the victory. Drac Hero taking some damage, 690 in his IS-3, trying to block Enrique Dante here, doing a bro a solid, trying to be a body block here. Gonna see if he can try to block the game out now. Static picking up Drac Hero's own Delta. Let's see if Enrique Dante can pick up just 1 kill for Game Over. No, shot goes out, it's on to Static, and now Enrique getting lit up there. It's just a brawl. All these tanks fighting for the opening, fighting for the final shot. Let's see who they're gonna give it to. And still taking more damage. 110 in the IS-3, a shot bouncing. Enrique Dante staying alive. Emily just going
I wondered if they were gonna do this.
Oh no, here we go. Let's see if they can do the boost damage here. Emily, you think he was gonna try for the ram damage there?
No, I thought maybe they were gonna block him in and cap.
Oh, that would
they were obviously out to make a statement about Himmelsdorf.
That's right.
On that,
it's their map now.
Set.
It is their map now. eLevate now continuing their victory 4-1 against Game Over. Game Over's got to turn it on. It's now or never for them on to Himmelsdorf. See if they can close out the season strong on the map they've been doing the best from.
That was just rude overall. It's like came into Game Over's house with mud on their shoes, just raided their fridge and put their feet up on the couch, just grinding in that dirt.
That's an excellent way to see that. I can absolutely clearly see that eLevate just did that there.
Like I said, they're making a statement of some sort. Yeah. I'm not going to put words in their mouth. Maybe they'll answer that on their own. But that was deliberate. Obviously, nobody's picking Himmelsdorf or not banning Himmelsdorf at this point unless they have something they want to prove.
Sure, absolutely. Anything in stats worth mentioning there, or pretty much just domination?
Enrique Dante did the most for Game Over with 2,000. Pretty much everybody on eLevate breaking 1,000, and all 7 alive. Just a clean sweep on that game.
I'm glad we're seeing Himmelsdorf though. I'm glad maybe they just did that for Game Over. Like, hey, Game Over, we're gonna give you your map.
It's not surprising to me to see Arclit want to play Himmelsdorf. or to even for eLevate to have those strategies. Like I said before,
They're weak
I've
on
played
it.
against Arclit on Himmelsdorf, and it was not a pleasant experience. He and the team he was on at the time were very good at it.
Okay.
And there was just a lot of things where it's a very detailed map, and like I said in the very beginning, you learn some of it, and it's kind of daunting.
Sure.
And then you get some more practice on it. You start thinking it's easy. Like, oh, it's simple. I do this, this, and this, because you have confirmation bias. Every time you've done it, it's worked because your practice partners don't know it very well either.
Then you fight game over.
Then you play a really good team on it, and you just feel like you're getting shot from nowhere all the time. And all sorts of crazy stuff is happening.
So it's a good maybe practice for them.
Just have nightmares about it. Yeah. Well,
speaking from experience,
perhaps the only team that could teach game over a thing or two about Himmelsdorf at this point in time.
Is eLevate. Well,
I don't know. We'll see if they can hold it out again.
That's right. Again, eLevate just needs one more victory, and they'll take it. Let's see if Game Over can claw their way back on their home map. Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for the next battle. Same size as last time. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our day.
Another statement of some sort. 5100, 4 IS-3s, a 12T, and a Borzig for eLevate. Game Over for 2 5100s, 4 IS-3s, and a T-37. Game Over has to hold strong against Borzig, which I cannot recall a time I have seen it on offense in even the past 2 seasons.
Really?
I saw it a long time ago, but it's always been a gimmicky thing on offense. Actually, that's not true. Simp brought it for that crazy zero-line corner battle we saw, and it made all the difference in that situation. And at this point, Simp has run a lot of dynamic lineups, and typically in the past I'd call that kind of thing gimmicky, but I hesitate to call anything that Simp does gimmicky at this point.
Now, looking, kind of at that lineup, where do you think, as you're seeing, obviously the Borzig, they're really heading over for that Western cap there. But Game Over hasn't really put any sort of members, any sort of scouts there. They looked like they were just assuming eLevate was going to do a Northern cap again. If eLevate were to, kind of get in, obviously the positions that they continue to be getting in, and they start putting that cap pressure on, do you think Game Over, if they are the ones now pushing, they become the attackers? Game Over.
Yes, and Game Over expects that. That's why they brought the Borzig.
Okay.
It's actually sort of a defensive tank, right? Well, they're using it in a defensive fashion. Game Over has been biasing themselves towards the northeast, so a little bit of a counter coming out here. This is more or less what I would predict seeing a tank destroyer on an offense, because the tracks they're an open area, and it's great for a tank destroyer in general. The problem here is the shell that the Borzig will be firing has a chance of just breaking up on all of these crazy fence posts that go down the entire side of the track.
Oh, really?
So you can see them right here. And there are ways of getting rid of them in mass. You kind of line up and fire an APCR shell all the way down, and you see exactly how far it goes. Probably go 20 meters or so, depending on the tank. The Borzig, though, doesn't have that round on the gun that he's running, as far as I know. So it's just... There you go.
There it is.
Oh,
huge chunk of damage, and that T-37 is static with the follow-up. Gandorfo already following there. eLevate looks like they have clear control of this western side. Let's see if Game Over can shut this down, or if eLevate will pick up the 5th victory, ending out our first match of the night. eLevate putting another cap member on, down to 20 seconds for that western cap. Henrique, Dante, and Drac here are looking for any sort of reset. Henrique, as he's the one driving further. Amar Lee, that waffle getting off.
Could get ugly.
Good for Game Over.
For everyone.
All right, some shots already going into Arclit there in that IS-3. Henrique Dante shots bouncing. Orange Cataphract running in VR Game Over, coming through a huge shot going out there. Henrique Dante, 672 points of damage in that IS-3, but he finds some more onto Static. Looks like we're gonna have a little bit of ball here. Static pushing up extremely aggressively, just trying to find the open match against Orange Cataphract. A couple more shots though, and he will fall. Let's see who goes down first. Will it be Orange, or will it be Static? Amar Lee taking another shot to Henrique Dante. One more, and he will go down. Zone Delta picking up Orange Cataphract. A tank falling for Game Over. eLevate still having all 7 members. Let's see where the fight continues to develop from here. Mega gonna be the focus. A couple more shots on to Static. He'll go down. The shot just missing. Another shot bouncing, but Heist picks up Amar Lee. Mega picking up Static. Swipple, though, finishes off Mega there. It is a 5-on-4 in favor of eLevate, as Arclit making it a 5-on-3. Taken. Henrique Dante finally going down. Dark God Zim doing a little bit of a drive into the courtyard there, and that 12D is on reload. Swipple, one more shot, and it's 5100. Line that one up, connecting on the Track Hero. Shots going out all over the place. eLevate decided to give up on cap. They know they have the tank advantage. They're going for it. This shot going to Track Hero. Heist trying to load the one remaining shot he has on a swivel. Arclet finds BR game over, and eLevate should be able to clean this one up. They will be able to pick up this 5th and final victory here for our match number 1, finishing off week 8. Very strong finish indeed for eLevate, showing that, I think you said, David, oh, Dark God's
yes, the good old unicorn driving in a circle maneuver.
Oh,
Swivel joins into the fun, why not?
Look at this. Everyone just saluting the unicorn here. Getting the bounce shot. Swivel going through. More damage. The power of the unicorn is strong. It makes your tank invulnerable. Oh, never mind. A little bit of random damage coming through. Everyone just trying to ram poor Heish here. He's just getting surrounded by these members of eLevate. The shot going through. Azrael just having a bit of fun before eLevate claims their 5th and final victory there against Game Over. That's a great way to end that match there, and obviously showing that they are the ones.
Last moments of the regular season for them.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled to a little bit
up.
of celebratory. I mean, when I played, we did it literally after every single win of like every game.
No matter
we
what
had
day
all
it was,
sorts of formations.
we're just gonna mess around.
Craziness. Yeah, it's part of morale management.
For sure,
breaking
absolutely.
Attention sometimes, you know.
Make them laugh. Well, another thing, as I was saying, eLevate showing that they are not afraid, I guess, anymore of Hippelsdorf against the team of Game Over, who's been so good at it. David, anything on statistics before we go to the break?
Nope. Zone Delta did 2,000. Heish did 1,400. That's really it. Nothing too special. Oh, maybe people are wondering what the Borzig did. Fired 3 times, 2 hits, 2 penetrations for 1,438.
There we go. The beautiful waffle indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, that finishes match number 1. Match number 2, High Voltage versus Lamp. We'll be right after this quick break.